Hey, what's up? It's Mr. Ippolito, and I'm going to go over the 10 most frequently missed questions on the Constitution quiz. This is hopefully will help you if you are doing the Constitution quiz retake, because I'm literally like giving you the answers like this is what you should know. Okay, so let's jump in and let's get started. This is the first one: regulate interstate commerce. Interstate commerce is when there is trade that happens across state lines. So you travel to Nevada to go buy a car, or a company from Arizona buys something from a company in California. Whenever you do business across state lines, you travel to Florida on vacation. That is traveling. You're flying, you're boarding Southwest Airlines and you're flying to Florida. That is trade across state lines. That is regulated by Congress, because it is travel, it's trade in between states. Interstate commerce, that is a national power. So 56% of students almost missed that. So that's why. Okay, next, regulate and manage prisons. This is a shared power, and I'll tell you why. Because prisons deals with law and order. It deals with like law enforcement, and law enforcement, the United States government takes care of that, and the states take care of that. So we have federal prisons, we have state prisons. Regulate and manage prisons is therefore a shared power. Next, establish and regulating banks. This is just one of those things that the United States can take care of and states can take care of. We have state chartered banks, we have federally chartered banks. Most credit unions, for example, if your parents bank at Logix, that's California only. That's a credit union. It's just within California. But if your parents bank like I do with Chase, right? JP Morgan Chase, it's a huge bank that's all across the country. That's a federally chartered bank. Wells Fargo, federally chartered bank. Bank of America, federally chartered bank. But then there are some like Bank of Santa Clarita or Bank of the West. Those are state chartered banks or smaller banks. So state and national shared power. Banking, shared power. Taxation, everybody wants their money. I was surprised that 32% of students got this wrong. Everybody, every level of government wants their money, because every level of government needs money to survive and run and do their thing. So taxation is a shared power. All this branch is members elected by the people. 26% of students almost got this wrong. Every single member of the legislative branch, that's Congress, right? There are 100 members of the Senate. There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. Together, it's the 535 members of Congress. Every single member of this branch elected by the people, it's a legislative branch. Executive branch, there are tens of thousands of federal employees. TSA, the person who screens your luggage at the airport, they're not elected. So not every member of the executive branch. Yes, the president's elected, a vice president's elected, but most of the executive branch, the military, we don't vote for soldiers, right? They're part of the executive branch too. The National Forest Service, executive branch. So judicial branch, they're all appointed by the president, approved by the Senate. So judicial branch is wrong also. The answer is legislative branch. Every member of Congress elected by the people. Okay, next. This branch can declare laws and presidential actions unconstitutional. That's the court system. The courts can declare what the president does unconstitutional. They can declare an act of Congress unconstitutional. That's the judicial branch, the Supreme Court or the federal court system. That is the judicial branch, can declare laws and presidential actions unconstitutional. This branch has the authority to appoint federal judges. That's the executive branch. The president of the United States, they are part of the executive branch. They appoint federal judges, lower court judges, going all the way up to the Supreme Court justices. They appoint, and then the Senate approves. So I know you saw federal judges, and 40% of you were like, judicial branch. No, they don't appoint themselves. The president appoints federal judges. They get approved by the legislature, the Senate, but it's the president that appoints federal judges. So that's executive branch. The power to declare war, this was, it's popular. 40% of you got it wrong by saying the president. The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, but only the people's branch, the Congress, they can actually declare war. Now, the president has a lot of military power as the commander-in-chief, but to go to war, Last time we did it was World War II. I know we've had other wars, Vietnam War, Korean War, Persian Gulf War. Like, we've had other wars that we called wars, but the last time we've actually formally declared war was World War II. Congress is the only branch that has the power to formally declare war, legislative branch. This branch led to the desegregation of schools in Brown v. Board of Education. Brown versus Board of Education is a Supreme Court decision. In 1954, they led the effort to desegregate schools, and this actually went to court. A young girl, Linda Brown, she was an African-American student in Kansas, Topeka, Kansas. And her family sued because in Kansas, like in many other states in the South, they were separating. Black kids had to go to separate schools than white children. And they finally were like, this is not right. You're saying it's separate but equal, but it's not equal. The black children are getting inferior schools, inferior books, inferior desks, inferior facilities to the white children at their white schools. So separate does not mean equal. Separate means you don't want your white kids going to school with black kids. It is not right. And it was proven in court that this is doing irreparable harm to African-American children. And so finally, by a vote of 9-0, the Supreme Court ruled that segregation in schools is unconstitutional. That eventually led to the desegregation of not only schools, drinking fountains, restrooms, restaurants, bus seating, led to ultimately the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. You'll learn all about this in 11th grade U.S. history. I'm giving you a lot of detail. Ultimately, it's the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, that desegregated schools. And then finally, last one, the purpose of the preamble. Almost 30% of you got this wrong. This is real simple. The purpose of the preamble is to introduce the goals. It's an introduction to introduce the goals and the principles of the Constitution, right? Nothing to do with rights of citizens. That's important, but that's really kind of more the Bill of Rights, not the preamble. Okay, that's Mr. Ippolito talking to you about the 10 most commonly missed questions on the Constitution quiz. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you next time in class. Take care. Bye-bye.